Okay, I think this is working and my microphone is working. Hi. So I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who came out on Wednesday night to the clinic. We had a few people who had to cancel last minute. We had a nice little conversation, and I'm really sorry to those who were going to tune in live that I couldn't get the microphone to set itself up properly. We had it working and then it wouldn't. So I wanted to do just a little bit of a bonus recap of what we talked about. And of course, it'll be on Facebook, so those who can't make it right now can watch it later. After we're done, I will post the link in the video to the clean eating meal plan. And there's a couple extra bonuses that you'll get in your email if you sign up for that. So watch for that and sign up. It's a really great meal plan. It's really easy. It's designed for families or people who are really busy. So I wanted to do a little bit of a talk on spring detoxing because every year, this time of year, you start to see the advertisements for it on Facebook or Instagram or wherever your local health food store. A lot of clinics will run spring detoxes. And I think my goal is to sort of inform you about what that means, whether or not it's something you should consider, and then shift the conversation a little bit to what I think is a more impactful health practice. So when we talk about detoxification, what we really mean is just the processes by which we are eliminating toxins or waste from the body when we're talking about a physical detox, but in general, really about removing that which shouldn't be there from the system. And the truth is that we detox every day. You'd be dead, trust me, without these processes. So the parts of the body that are really responsible for that are your lungs. We will detox, and a lot of our waste products come up through breathing. In fact, when we lose weight, the products in the fat are all broken down, and then they're expelled as carbon dioxide and water. So that's a huge way that we get rid of stuff in our body through our skin and sweating. Our liver is probably the main detox organ, so it does all sorts of things and creates all kinds of enzymes and all kinds of processes both in the liver and then outside of the body in the bloodstream and in other tissues to help mobilize things, get rid of them, change them into what they need to be. So the liver is really important in that process. The kidneys, which are like our filter for the bloodstream, and then the bowels. The bowels are obviously a really big one, so we want to make sure those are working properly too. So all of those systems, every single second of every single day, are detoxing. And really, when people start to advertise for spring detox, we're usually talking about a lot of them are supplement based, and those supplements will often, you'll see them in your health food stores, and there's usually 2 or 3 different ones. One of them is often for the bowels, and it's usually a laxative based. There'll often be one for the liver and or the kidney separately or together. Sometimes you'll have probiotics. And what those herbs usually do, or nutrients, is that they will augment and in some cases push the liver, the kidneys, and the other systems in the body to speed up the processes for detoxification. In terms of evidence, there is some evidence that there's definitely lots of evidence that these herbs work in that way. So there are herbs that we will use all the time to help support the kidneys or help support the liver or the lungs. In a shortened 7-day, 10-day detox, the evidence on whether that actually works or not to eliminate toxicity from the body is kind of dicey. And so there are some concerns about doing these kinds of detoxes. One of the questions that came up in the talk on Wednesday night was who should be doing a detox, or why do people want to do them? And I think that's the question I really want to ask people is, why are you considering doing a detox? And for a lot of people, the things are, I feel like I need to reset, I want to lose some weight, I'm tired. Those are the kinds of things that come up. And while that's all valid and a detox can help with that short term, the truth is that we didn't get to that place of tiredness or feeling sluggish or carrying a little bit of extra weight overnight. And a short-term detox, generally, while it might make you feel better for a short period of time. It doesn't really deal with why you got there in the first place. And what I find is that people will detox, and then 6 months later they've gone back to their old habits, they feel like crap, and they detox again. And I actually think that that process can be quite dangerous. And the reason is that if you're not supporting the systems every single day that that detox the body, and then sort of once or twice a year forcing all that stuff out and into the system, you'll often cause an overload. And a lot of people will get that detox flu sort of symptoms 2 or 3 days in, where they get headaches and they get aches and pains. I've even had some patients have like burning legs and full out skin rashes. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because it means that your body isn't removing what you're forcing it to process. So I really don't like this idea of detoxing a few times a year. What I really try to get people to do, and a couple of things I want to teach you right now, is how to promote detoxification on a daily basis. And there's a few different ways to do that. One is talking about your exposures. So what are the things in your environment that are causing issues in the first place? And then the other one is promoting elimination. So in terms of exposures, we could talk all day about this. I mean, if you drink water, you eat food, you breathe air, you have chemical toxicity in your system. That's just the way it is. And so avoiding it, there's certain things that you can do that will really help, but I try not to get people to obsess about it, because literally you can't avoid it. Obviously, a good way is anything that touches your skin. So if you have a water filter for your shower, if you live in the city, that's a good idea, and it's kind of an inexpensive one that will last for a long time. Anything that you put on your skin daily, really need to look at what that is. So whether it's creams or makeup or shampoos or anything like that, the best resource is to go to the EWG website, Environmental Working Group, and go to Skin Deep. They have a database there where they do their best to go through every single product that they can find, and they'll rate it on a scale based on its carcinogenic or toxic properties. And if you're putting it on your skin every single day, you really want that to be under a 3 or less. And you will find quite scarily that, especially women, almost everything that's generally available for a decent price is as an 8, 9, or a 10 on that scale. It's kind of terrifying. So if you wouldn't put it in your mouth, you should not put it on your skin. And so that's one of the ways that you can easily decrease your exposure. Plastics are another big one. And of course, you know, it's all over the news right now about trying to reduce plastics for all of the harm that it's causing, particularly in the oceans. So the issue with plastics is that, especially if you heat them, some of those compounds will can get into the system, and they can act as mimickers for hormones and other things. And they can also, apparently now there's plastic microbeads in our water and everything else, and we just don't know what the effect of that is, but I'm sure it's not great. So those are a couple of things that you can do just on a daily basis to avoid toxins. The other good thing to look at is the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, also from the Environmental Working Group, in terms of buying organic versus non-organic. Personally, I'm a much bigger fan of buying local. Even conventionally raised organic, which means large crop production, that's organic, you're still getting a huge percentage of those fruits and vegetables are coming back with pesticide residues. So I find if you talk to your local farmers, you'll find that even if they are using some conventional pesticides, they're usually only using 1 or 2, and they're often before flowering. So if you're still washing your vegetables, that's the best way, in my opinion, to avoid that kind of exposure to toxicity. And then the other place where we get where we can help out is promoting the elimination in the body. So one of my favorite ways to do this is in the shower or the bath, whether you shower every day or every other day or whatever, and that's to move the lymph around your body. And I love this kind of hack because it doesn't take any extra time. You just do it when you're showering or washing. And the reason that this helps is that the lymph system is, for those of you that don't know, is a part of your body that it basically parallels your cardiovascular system. So if this is your cardiovascular system with your heart, your lymph system almost parallels it like this. Like if you look at a picture of it, if you Google it, you'll see it's almost identical. It's vessels that parallel the cardiovascular system, but it doesn't have a heart. And what that lymph carries, it's a clear fluid. It has a lot of our white blood cells, and which is our immune system, and also a lot of the enzymes and waste products that the liver in particular is trying to move throughout the body. And because it doesn't have a heart, it doesn't have a pumping mechanism, the only way that lymph moves is through movement, which if you talk with your hands like me, maybe you're okay if you're sitting on your butt all day, but most of us really don't have a lot of that consistent movement. So the lymph sits there. And so moving that lymph around is a great idea. Obviously, exercising and sweating is an awesome way to do that. But for most of us, if we just, when we go to bathe, shower, wash, whatever, if we do it in a certain motion, we can actually move that lymph around. And I teach all of my patients this, and I think it really helps. What you want to do is start off with a face cloth or a loofah or whatever, and eventually work your way up to dry brushing, which is with a bamboo brush, and you could do it in or out of the shower. If you're going to use soap or something like that, obviously check out the Clean Deep website and make sure that you're not doing it with something that's, an 8 or 9 rating on toxicity level. And you want to start at the face and go all the way around the ears, and there's lymph all the way around the back of your occiput, and then very, very gently down the lymph chain in your neck into the chest. Now, what's the hardest thing to remember here is that all of the tissue on top of your chest plate, all the breast and pectoral tissue, drains into the arm. So you want to sort of like gentle circles around that tissue and then flush it into your arm. And then you can do the arm down into the chest. Everything else just comes up towards the heart, and making sure that you're doing your abdomen clockwise. Anything on your abdomen that you're putting on it should be clockwise, whether you're doing lymphatic drainage or castor oil packs or whatever. And that's because that's the way that your bowels empty. We do not want to be moving that stuff backwards. So always clockwise down towards the stomach side of your body. So that's a great hack that I try to get people to do every time that you shower. I think it really will help to promote things to move around. If you're really hardcore about it, you can also then do hydrotherapy at the end of your shower, which is a couple minutes of hot water and then switching it on to cold, and then going back and forth a few times. So cold for 15 seconds, hot for a minute or two, and ending the shower on cold. That's a really important thing to do. We want, when we have heat on the exterior of the body, we're promoting metabolism in the cells and blood flow out to the exterior. That's why it gets all red. We want to shunt that back towards the center of the body and sort of stop that metabolic process. We don't want to leave it out there. You'll actually find that you'll be more sore or congested afterwards unless you do that. So those are my favorite sort of detox tips, and it really is about doing it every day. There's other things that will help, such as any kind of breathing practice or meditation, and of course exercise, because you're going to promote lung exchange, movement of the lymph, sweating. I mean, it does it all, right? So even a few minutes a day can make a really big difference. If you're really determined to do a detox, I do recommend that you do see a healthcare practitioner who has some knowledge in that. Obviously, I'm biased to naturopathic doctors, but there are other healthcare practitioners, some holistic nutritionists, some coaches, and other things that have a lot of knowledge in that level. And there's a few reasons for this. I've seen people get really sick. If you are on any medications and you take some of these supplements that promote liver detoxification, you can very quickly change the level of that medication in your body. And I have seen people get really sick doing that. If you're not having regular, daily, minimum once a day bowel movements, you should not do a detox of any description until that's working, because that's one of the major ways that we get that crap out of our body. So you really, really need to make sure that that piece is in place. If you have any chronic diseases, particularly type 2 diabetes, you need to be supervised when you're doing anything like that, even if you're just going to change your diet or start exercising. I've had patients have to go off their medications for diabetes in less than 3 days, just with dietary change and walking 10 minutes a day. If you don't monitor your medication, your blood sugar, you can put yourself into a diabetic coma very quickly, because the body recovers so fast in controlling its blood sugar in a lot of people. So that's definitely a particular situation where you need to be medically supervised. In terms of big no-nos, anybody with a severe autoimmune disease, you really need to be careful with this stuff. So definitely medical supervision. And anyone who's pregnant or breastfeeding, no detoxing. We don't want to move that stuff around the body. If it's stored for a reason, and you don't want that blood going through the baby or through your breast milk. So it doesn't mean that you can't clean up your diet, but in terms of doing like a supplemented detox, definitely that would be contraindicated. Hi, oh, I see all these people. That's so great. The last thing that I wanted to discuss in terms of detoxing is coming back to that original question, and that's, why do you want to do it? And I really want to shift the conversation in terms of where people are coming to me and asking about detoxes. I really think that your health ultimately is a consequence of self-worth. And when we got to talking, this small group of ladies and I were talking on Wednesday night about detoxing, the conversation ended up going to this place of, how am I actually taking care of myself every single day? And why am I not doing some of these things? And I mean, really, if you just clean up your diet and you follow the meal plan that I give you, most people are going to feel a little bit better. But the truth is if you don't start to change the habits and the thinking that you have every single day, it just ends up being this sort of cycle where you feel like shit, and then you detox, and you feel good for a while, and then you go over and over again. Changing habits is really difficult, but I really see the people who work on their authenticity and their self-confidence are the ones that are actually able to shift their behaviors, and then they don't need to detox. Because the truth is if you actually care about what you're doing in the world and who you are, you won't eat the stuff that makes you feel like shit. That's just the way it is. And even if you do, you'll know why you're doing it. And so I think, particularly for women, but also for a lot of men, we get into this sort of state where we want to detox, and we get pulled into the advertising that we're going to feel better. And really, all of these companies and programs, I mean, they are out there to help people, but they are also out there to make money. And you have to be aware of why you want to do it. And I certainly am not saying that they can't be helpful and they can't make you feel good. But really, we want to get underneath that, and we want to start exploring, how do we take care of ourselves every single day? And on that, what I actually think people need to detox isn't so much their physical body, but their mindset and their self-worth. So where the conversation on Wednesday ended up going, and where I want to wrap this up, is to talk about that for a few minutes. So if you were going to pick one type of detox to do, say for the next 3 weeks, that was really going to impact your life and for the long term and make a big difference, the place that I really think you should focus is up here. Doing a detox of complaining and replacing that with gratitude. Doing a detox of paying attention to what you're saying to yourself, and then catching when it's something that's really damaging, and switching that perspective to come up with something positive. Doing a detox of the sort of instinctive behaviors that you go to. If somebody cuts you off or somebody says something, our brains are automatically going to go to that negative place, because that's what our brains do. If you're interested, look up negativity bias. That's what we're talking about. Your brain is wired to protect you. So it's going to look for everything that's dangerous. It's going to assign a meaning to everything that you say, see, and do that is in a protective mode. So detoxing that, paying attention to it, and switching that to a conversation that is like, what else could this mean? Doing a mindfulness or a meditation practice. I'll put some, hi Mark, I'll put some links into some of my favorite free meditations. Anything like that is where you're actually going to have a long-term lasting benefit to what underlies the reason that you want to detox in the first place. So in the spirit of spring detoxing, where everything is being reborn, then what we're going to do is if you sign up for the meal plan, you'll go on a little bit of a list, and we're going to do a 7-day gratitude challenge. It's just going to be really short, maybe 5 minutes every single day. I'm going to send out a video and get you to try something new. There'll be some meditations to try. There'll be some practices to try. And the whole goal of that will be to shift over the week the mindset. And you'll learn a lot more about what I'm talking about in terms of really getting at that core of what health is, which, as I said before, to me, it's really that consequence of your self-acceptance and your self-worth. So I hope that this was beneficial. If you have any questions, please absolutely type them in below and I'll answer them. As soon as I'm done, I'll put the link up for the meal plan. And I hope you guys join me and share on this little gratitude journey. Spring is my absolute favorite time of year because I'm not much of a winter person, as anyone who knows me will tell you. And this time of year when you can smell the rain and everything's coming out in the sunshine is just my favorite. And it really is a great time of year to really look at rebirthing the version of yourself in the world. And so I hope that you'll join me. Take care, everyone, and stay tuned because we've got lots of fun stuff coming up this spring. And all the best to you in your little own detox journey. Cheers.